Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Coffee with Craig, where we talk about all things firearms policy, politics, culture, media, Second Amendment, you name it, we're talking about right here on Coffee with Craig. So please take a moment to like and share this program so that your friends can know exactly where you're at and what they need to be watching. Also, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and hit our subscribe button. Now, don't just hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button so that you can get alerts as soon as we're going live or as soon as we have something going on like one of our fire missions like we're going to be talking about today. You want to know about this stuff and you want to know about it when it's happening, so please make sure that you do that. Also, please make it a point to visit fpcgear.com. It's a place to go to buy all sorts of cool Pro 2A swag. I know that every penny that you spend there will go right back into the fight for our right to keep and bear arms so you can support the Second Amendment and you can look good doing it. That's fpcgear.com. All right, folks, today we're going to be focusing on a fire mission. This is a very, very important one. Now, you guys know red flag laws are kind of the big to-do right now in this country, right? We all know that it seems to be the one kind of gun control that both Republicans and Democrats seem to be able to get behind. Now, if you're not familiar with what a red flag law is, let me just make it real clear to you. It is a gun confiscation. It's gun confiscation. Important things to know about these things. Number one, an individual can go to a court and tell them that they believe you are a danger to yourself or others. Only they get to introduce evidence, right? It's an ex parte hearing, which means you don't get to be there because you don't even know about it. The judge then issues an extreme risk protection order or a gun violence restraining order, as it's called, and they let law enforcement know, hey, this person has been deemed to be a danger to themselves or others and has thus lost their right to own or possess firearms. You need to go and seize their firearms. And then law enforcement is then sent to go and take those guns from those folks. Now, mind you, that's all the information they have. You're a danger to yourself or others, not supposed to have guns, go take their guns. That's all the information they've got. Now, and some of these laws, you actually do get to go to court, but mind you, once you go to court, you now have to prove that you are not a danger to yourself or others, meaning you are now guilty until proven innocent, right? You have to go get a lawyer. And in many cases, you may even have to go see a psychiatrist or get a mental health professional to actually evaluate you to deem that you are not a danger to yourself or others. Now, you have some people who say, well, hey, you know what? But they get due process. Well, no. Due process after you've already lost your rights. After you've already lost your property is not due process. Having a trial where you don't get to face your accuser is not due process. Being guilty until proven innocent is not due process. You would think, based on the rhetoric of the Republican Party, that there would at least be one party that does believe in this fact, that does believe how important this is. But unfortunately, that is not the case. As such, there's been an announcement on March 26th. Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican from South Carolina, who chairs the Judiciary Committee, is going to be holding a hearing. And they're going to be talking about his red flag law. That's right. They're going to basically be talking on this day about his red flag law. And during this hearing, basically, they're going to be pushing this legislation. Folks, it is vitally important that we kill this bill. Because here's the deal, folks, and this is what y'all got to understand. These folks, this is violent. By the way, just let me just give you kind of his words on red flag. This is how you know that we're in trouble when it comes to, this is a Republican speaking right here, someone who says he believes in the Constitution and due process. All right. He says emergency risk protection order is designed to fill a gap in current law. Senator Lindsey Graham said upon introducing the red flag bill with Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal last March. It can be utilized when an individual has moved into crisis but has not yet committed a crime. Now, that's an important distinction. Understand, we're not talking about anyone who's committed a crime. We're not talking about anyone who's even been deemed to have a mental health issue. They say they're in crisis, but nobody, at no point in this process has an individual seen or had any contact with. There's no mental health professional that's been involved at any point in this process. There's no requirement that they be involved at any point in the process. But guess what? They really don't care, because you know what? They're going to push their narrative anyway. And that narrative is going to lead to gun confiscation. That's exactly what it's going to lead to, because in the end, that is what their goal is. Their goal is to take away your right to keep and bear arms. Because keep in mind, this is going to go before a Democrat. If this passes the Senate, this is what you got to understand. If this gets enough Republican support, because first of all, Democrats are going to support it. Anti-gun Democrats will support this. If you get enough anti-gun, I won't say anti-gun, but if you get enough Republican, if you support this, you are anti-gun. At least you're anti-civil rights. You're anti-rights. You're anti-due process, as well as, by the way, being anti-gun. But I digress. But understand, if it goes to the House will pass this, hands down. And if it goes to the President of the United States, well, I know some of you out there are fans of our president, but let's be clear. Not only is he not really concerned about about constitutional rights when it comes to red flag laws. I mean, when it comes to bump stocks, but he also could really give a hoot when it comes to bump stocks. Not bump stocks. When it comes to red flag laws, because he is the president who basically said, take the guns first, due process later. Because in their eyes, once again, and here's the thing. Part of it is, I get it. Their attitude is, well, you know what? But we're providing some security. We're trying to help protect people. Folks, this isn't about protection. This is about liberty. When you're willing to give up liberty for a perceived, and I say this again, for a perceived security, then you're not going to be secure and you're going to lose your liberty. This is one of the most egregious bills. This is scarier than any bill that the Democrats have proposed. And the reason why is because this one actually stands a chance of passing, because senators of the Republican Party will show deference to their fellow senators. And they'll show deference and they'll vote for it just because it's proposed by a Republican. And Democrats, because it's gun control, they'll vote for it too. And then it'll get to the House. We already know we have a president who said he would support stuff like he hired an attorney general that supports stuff like this. So here's what we're doing. We're encouraging people to get on the phones, to get in contact with members of the Senate right now. Doing this all week. Here's a list of the Republican senators who are sitting on this committee. And the reason why we're offering up the Republican senators is because, well, we know that those are the ones we have a chance of actually getting to. So if you reside in any of these states, if you reside in South Carolina, Texas, Iowa, Utah, New England, Missouri, North Carolina, Indiana, Louisiana, Tennessee, you need to get in touch with each one of these members' offices. Now, here's what I'll tell you to do. Look in the description. If you look in the description to this video, you'll actually find out who the contact person is in their office that you need to talk to, and you'll get the phone number for that individual. That's who you need to talk to. You need to let them know. You need to be very, very clear. You need to let them know, I live in your state. I live in your state, or if you're a person who gives money to a senatorial campaign, I donate money to help get you elected. And I will not support anybody who supports red flag gun confiscation. They need to know that their job is on the line if they support red flag gun confiscation. If they support gun confiscation, period, because that's all this is. This is about gun confiscation. And it's a way for some of these Republicans to say, I believe I want to stop gun violence. And it ain't about taking people's law-abiding citizens' guns, because we know that's who's going to get caught up in this. right? When you roll up, we've already had cases in Florida where you had people who said something that people didn't like on social media, so they lost their right to keep and bear arms. You had the case in Vermont where a middle schooler said they were going to steal someone else's guns. And then they went and they went and they confiscated the guns of the person from whom the guns would be stolen. They weren't a danger to themselves or others. This kid was. But they took guns because he said he was going to steal their guns. And then we had the case in Maryland where an individual who refused to give up his firearms, who refused to give up his rights, this unconstitutional red flag law, was actually wound up getting shot by law enforcement. This is what this is what folks like Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham are supporting. Folks, now's the time to let them know. This is the time to draw a nice fat line in the sand. Let them know. Get a hold of them. Call them all week. Once you got those numbers, call them all this week. I don't care if you're not a constituent. Call them anyway. Call them. Let them know that you cannot call yourself a pro-gun Republican and support gun confiscation and support this anti-due process, anti-civil rights piece of legislation. Absolutely, positively cannot do it. You would be a hypocrite if you attempted to do so. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for today's Coffee with Craig. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for being a part of the fight. Thank you in advance for making that phone call. Thank you. Let them know this is a fight for our civil rights. We have got to use them or we will lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.